And like you touched on, now we have to host Iowa State, who got their butts kicked like this weekend to Kansas State. And that game was shocking because Kansas State just couldn't miss, and Iowa State turned the ball over a million times.
They
And,
just made some interesting, like
and
unusual Iowa State plays.
yeah, plays that you don't usually see a TJ Otzelberger team make, they were making, and plays you don't normally see Taman Lipsey making, he was making. Curtis
And
Jones,
Gilbert and Jones,
Gilbert,
they looked uncomfortable, and
yeah,
which is
like it.
weird, unusual.
Johnson, it was just a crazy game for Iowa State. But they're going to be ready to play at Kansas. Everyone's ready to play at Allen Fieldhouse. You're going to get everyone's best shot.
Yep.
And now it's, can we find a way to redeem the last few weeks for Kansas basketball? Is this Kansas team going to sit there and fight, or are they just going to roll over? Because this game is going to tell us a lot about the team and the rest of this.
Probably up to the
How it's going to
fans.
go. We have,
Probably up to the student section, bro.
yeah, I mean, like the student section has been getting crazy flack recently
Which I
for.
thought it was. I For the K-State game, I wasn't at that game personally, but from my TV, it did not seem very loud, or as loud as it should have been after that 14-0 start.
I
But I
mean,
think
but
after
also you're up 14-0. The game was never in question. I
yeah,
understand it's a rivalry, but is it really a rivalry? It hasn't really necessarily been a rivalry ever.
but I thought energy has been great all year. I mean, they brought it for Houston. I don't think
They brought it for Houston and still lot like let's be real, the student section wasn't the reason why Kansas lost to that game. And the student section will not be the reason why they lose to Iowa State if they lose to Iowa State tomorrow. Students are camping out. It's going to be an electric environment. Hopefully, Kansas can bounce back strong. Let's break down this game as best we can. Kansas is coming off of a loss, right? The loss at Baylor, tragic work, worst loss in, I was going to say program history. It could be the worst loss in program history. How do you fumble something that bad? Iowa State loses at home against Kansas State, a bad Kansas State team. Doug McDaniel played great. Coleman Hawkins did enough. They had
I'm blanking on that one guy's name, but he was a sniper.
their shooter. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like they could do no wrong, and they caught Iowa State on a horrific day. And even when Iowa State made a run, I thought it was over. I thought Kansas State was done. They weren't. They got out of Ames with a win, something Kansas could not do. They're going to be ready to play Kansas tomorrow.
No doubt about it.
I am nervous that Kansas will not be ready to play. And this could be a contest where we just get stood up at home.
And that's what I was gonna say. The way that back half went, I'm nervous that, which is crazy because you rarely see losses. I think this is a stat I was talking with my roommate there. I think us as students have seen
Mhm.
a quarter of Bill Self's losses at Allen Fieldhouse, which might be a more impressive stat than being a part of the wins because they've lost like 17 times at Allen Fieldhouse and we've seen three
Yeah.
or four.
Yeah.
But this is a game
Let's
where
take a
they
look.
might get embarrassed.
Let's take a look at this. Following a loss, Kansas is 127 and 21 in the Bill Self era. But they have one of those 27 losses this year when they lost on the road in Omaha against the Creighton Blue Jays and then followed that up with at the
Mizzou.
hands, another loss at the hands of Mizzou, right? So it's already been proven that Kansas does and can lose back-to-back games this year. They've lost. Iowa State has beaten Kansas 10 times in Allen Fieldhouse in the history of the series. But guess what? The last win was 2017. It's possible that Kansas could lose the game tomorrow.
It's unfortunately a big possibility.
And we would be talking about this different if Kansas didn't blow the 20-point lead, right? If Kansas
The 20-point
even
win in
lost
Baylor.
to Baylor, if they even lost to Baylor, you could say, well, this is still a redemption game. But the fact
Mhm.
that they crumbled in the second half, now you're worried this is a season defining game.
Oh, 100%. because you see them hold on to that 20-point win. Because now it's 6 years they haven't won in Waco. If you would have seen them snap that 5-year losing streak with a 20-point win, and we know we touched on it, Baylor isn't super impressive this year, but still, that we would be talking about this Iowa State game very, very differently.
Well, because it would give you an opportunity to go 2-0 this week. Well, 2-0 this week against UCF and then Baylor, and then have a big time opportunity against a top team in the country at home. That would completely wipe out the heartbreaking loss at against Houston at home. You would have a top five win in the country. You would have a win at Waco by a big margin. You would have a win against UCF. Granted, it was close, but you were missing your point guard.
Hmm.
Now the narrative just switches, and it's up to Kansas whether they're going to come back and be ready to go tomorrow night or if it's going to be heartbreak.
Yeah, I don't even know what to expect, honestly.
It's Kansas is 1-2 against AP top 10 teams this season, and I'm scared that this could be one where it could get out of hand. This is a team that's well coached. TJ Otzelberger is a great coach.
Yeah,
This is a
phenomenal
team
coach.
that guards the ball at a high level, and they didn't do it on Saturday. So you better expect them to do it tomorrow night. They make everything tough. They have a bunch of dudes on their team who can do everything. Taman Lipsey's, I think, one of the best point guards in the Big 12.
100%. And I mean, they're having their best
Curtis
season of
Jones is
ever.
one of the best scorers in college basketball. And they have dudes all on that team who are killers.
Will go. They can go.
I don't know. What do you have anything else you would like to say on this game? What do you think?
I think Kansas
What?
needs to pray. No, but they need to, as hurtful as that loss is, it's just, and it sucks because it's hard to do, and it's
Mhm.
embarrassing to do with the way they went. They just somehow need to forget it, play it one game at a time, be like, all right, whatever, that happened. It's done.
Mhm.
You can only control what they're about to do, and they're about to play one of the best teams in the country in their home court where they have a pretty good advantage. I feel like they win. They do not lose a lot now in Fieldhouse, so they have that going for them. If it was in Ames after that Baylor loss, I think it'd be completely different because that's a very tough arena to play in. But play it one game at a time, control your control. But as I'm talking and thinking about it, I can only think about we'll see what happens because if Flory plays 15 minutes again, Iowa State will win this game.
I think it's a coin flip. I do. I think Kansas will either come out ready to play and the game will be close, or Iowa State is going to just beat up on a Kansas team that's given up. And I really hope it's the first of the options because I'm a big believer in this Kansas team can make a Final Four. They have the pieces to make a Final Four.
It can be
They
deep.
have the defense to make a Final Four, and they have the best coach in college basketball. But we didn't see that in the second half of Baylor. And it's going to take an impressive effort to get anything done.
Yeah.
What are your final score predictions? And we'll get out of here.
I want to be a believer too, especially as a Kansas fan. So I will
Mm.
say that Kansas gets the win. And I think they do it because I was taking score the ball. They got to stop 'em. I'm going to say 68-66.
Yeah, I think Kansas gets a win too. I hope they come ready to play tomorrow. They need a huge bounce back win, especially after that heartbreaking loss. I think Kansas gets a 77-70 win against Iowa State, and
There you
we'll
have it.
we'll take a look at see where they're at in the AP poll tomorrow when that drops. What are you expecting Kansas to be in the AP poll?
I'm trying to think.
Because we moved up after we
They moved
lost
up,
to
but
Houston.
that Houston loss wasn't bad. That's the thing is that I don't know. Uh maybe 12, 13. I think maybe 11 to 15 range.
Yeah,
I know the teams that lost. I'm just blanking on where they're at in the AP poll.
there's so
Like
much
for other
parity.
rankings.
in college basketball this weekend with a lot of teams losing. I feel like Kansas won't fall a whole bunch,
No, I think they'll stay top 15.
but a loss tomorrow night could really affect their poll the following week.
Yeah,
I hope they can get
Kansas
it
does.
done. I think Kansas wins 77 to 70. You said something near those.
68, 66, around that.
Yeah, something around that score as well. So we will be back. I don't know if it'll be you, if it'll be you and Colton. We'll have a crew here to recap the Kansas
Sure.
Iowa State game. Probably on Tuesday is my guess. Hopefully the Kansas Jayhawks come ready to play, and you guys will hear from us after the game. Emmett, I appreciate you taking the time to come talk to me.
Thank you for always having me.
Alrighty, and we'll see you guys later.